Hi, I'm Milla and welcome back to another Milla's Gaming video. Today we're discussing more PlayStation 2 fan translations. Usual rules apply, all the patch links as well as the links to other videos in this series are in the video description. Let's get straight into it. Starting right away with arguably the biggest PS2 fan translation release of 2024, Tales of Rebirth. In December that year, less than 2 weeks after I uploaded my first PS2 fan translations video, Lifebottle Productions published their full English patch for Tales of Rebirth. This was a long-awaited patch and now allows fans to finally play one of the few unlocalized Mothership Tales of titles in English. Tales of Rebirth's world is one where humans and beasts coexist. Their cooperation led to the founding of the Kingdom of Kalegia in ancient times. Moreover, the mysterious Force power became usable by humans, which was previously something only beasts could use. In the modern day, King Lindbloom's mysterious passing destabilizes the Kingdom of Kalegia. Protagonist Vague Lungberg, a young man from the Village of Souls, and his friend Claire Bennett are caught up in the resulting mess. This mess includes political intrigue, magical powers going out of control, discrimination, and those signature Tales skits. Gameplay-wise, Tales of Rebirth adopts an evolved version of the 2D side-scrolling battle gameplay first established in Tales of Fantasia back on the SNES. In Tales of Rebirth, player and enemy characters are on 3 different planes. Before battles, players allocate characters to one of these planes, while in battle they can switch between them. These strategies, among other things like enhancing your equipment, remain critical to success. Another interesting mechanic is the brief Claire-side portions of the story that allow you to experience parts of Rebirth's tale from Claire's perspective, a precursor to Tales of Exilia's dual route system. The reason why Bandai Namco did not localize Tales of Rebirth is most likely due to their historical reluctance to localize Tales games that's historically well known. Fortunately, the following Mothership title, Tales of Symphonia, became the most successful Tales game to date at that point. Thanks to Symphonia's phenomenal success, all future home console Tales of titles saw official localizations from that point on, alongside older titles like Rebirth receiving more attention. Maybe one day Bandai Namco will return to Tales of Rebirth, but until then, this patch is your best option. One of Square Enix's most underappreciated franchises is Front Mission, a series of mecha strategy RPGs that started life on the SNES. Excluding remakes and the questionable Front Mission Evolved spin-off title on HD consoles, this series has 5 mainline releases to date. 3 of them are available officially in English, while Front Mission 5, the game I'm discussing now, is a 4th Front Mission game available via a fan translation patch. Released in December 2006, Scars of the War stars protagonist Walter Feng, a new immigrant to Huffman Island. Walter, alongside 2 other children, Randy and Glenn, experience the horrors of war firsthand, which forces the 3 of them apart. The 3 boys reunite 21 years later on a peacekeeping mission as the world continues its never-ending war. Front Mission 5's story is a multi-generational tale of focusing on these 3 men. Other JRPGs with similar generational mechanics include Record of Argrest War and Tales of Grace's F. The gameplay is your usual turn-based tactical RPG fare. However, Scars of the War being the final main Front Mission title, borrows elements from all Front Mission games up to that point, but especially Front Mission 2. Players can link with their allies in battle, with unit types depicting what actions they can take. New features include friendly fire, and part skills that allow you to adapt your weapon skills. Moreover, auxiliary backpacks from Front Mission 4 return here as well. Front Mission 5's commercial and critical reception is generally very positive, with the game receiving the Greatest Hits label in Japan. The reason Front Mission 5 was not localized remains publicly unknown. It's a shame Square Enix didn't localize it, as this game is one of the best strategy RPGs available on the PS2, which is very telling given all its steep competition. On December 29th, 2009, 4 years exactly since the game's Japanese release, the Front Mission Translation Project team released a full English patch for Front Mission 5. Front Mission 5's PS2 patch is not only meant another Front Mission title is now finally playable in English, but also served as an early beacon for the then young PS2 fan translation scene. At this point, Front Mission 5 is unlikely to return, unless Forever Entertainment make another bad remake in the future, something that Square Enix has already allowed them to do with the first 2 Front Mission titles for some reason. If you wish to check out Front Mission 5, your best option is via this patch. Following Metal Gear Solid Delta's weird as hell collaboration with Ape Escape, let's talk about another Ape Escape game. If you don't know Ape Escape, don't worry, neither does Sony. Anyway, what is Pipo Saru 2001, the game I'm discussing today? This is the first spin-off and second game overall in the Ape Escape series. Confusingly, Ape Escape 2, the sequel Sony localized internationally, is the third game in this franchise. In Pipo Saru 2001, players must use a vacuum cleaner to remove pants from all the apes and prevent the apes from getting their pants back. Yeah, Pipo Saru 2001 is a wild concept, and differs greatly from the first game Westerners know and love. Players can fire monkeys into each other to knock them out throughout Pipo Saru's 36 levels. Each level has 5 stages, including a boss battle. Import reviews are positive, however the wild concept, alongside the lackluster graphics, may be why Sony decided against localizing this game. In 2021, modder Yuri SR published a full English patch for Pipo Saru 2001, allowing players to spend a weekend playing this interesting piece of Sony history. If you wish to experience the wonders of Ape Escape outside of old legacy Ape Escape games, and Metal Gear Solid Delta's weird collaboration, this patch is a great alternative. From one weird game to another, let's discuss the Maid uniform and Machinegun. This is a bizarre shmup developed by Ridian and published by D3 Publisher as part of their Simple 2000 series. The Simple series is well known for its weird experimental titles, some of which received localizations, like the original Earth Defense Force game. However, others are also known for being absolutely shit. Not ancient Roman shit tier, but still shit, aka Kusogi, nonetheless. Gameplay wise, this is a simple action game. You play as Yuki, a maid with machine gun, hence the game's name. You traverse 3D stages, shoot enemies with your gun, dodge attacks, switch weapons, rinse and repeat. Completing stages unlocks ranks. The better you perform, the higher you rank. It's a pretty standard system which is more than enough for the game's 8 stages and overall short length. As mentioned earlier, Maid Uniform's reception is quite meh. It's not terrible, but not exactly great either. Unlike other Simple series that were localized or became franchises in their own right, like the previously mentioned Earth Defense Force, Maid Uniform doesn't stand out enough to be a viable localization candidate. However, its curious mix makes it a viable fan translation candidate, and that's exactly what happened. In 2022, modder Hilltop Works, in collaboration with Cardogin, released a full English patch for this game. In his Patreon blog post, Hilltop reveals the reason the duo worked on Maid Uniform is to enable them to become familiar with patching PlayStation 2 games, which, given some of the other games he'd go on to patch, is a good study of why sometimes you've got to work on mediocrity before publishing goodness, whether it's making games, translating games, or well, in this case, fan patching games. Does anyone remember that Captain Tsubasa game Bandai Namco localized for the PS4, Switch and PC in the late 2010s? What if I told you Rise of New Champions wasn't Namco's first rodeo with this cult classic franchise? Published on the 19th of October 2006, Captain Tsubasa, no subtitle this time around, adapts the original anime series into a fully 3D environment via the Path to Glory story mode. Moreover, in the new alternate story mode, players can make their own team and issue commands during matches, but can only control the captain during gameplay. This is unique for Bandai's Captain Tsubasa games. This gameplay is much closer to the sports RPG strategy games developed by Tecmo, rather than the action gameplay of Bandai's other Captain Tsubasa titles. None of these games were localized. You can probably guess why Bandai Namco didn't localize Captain Tsubasa on the PS2. As always with these anime game adaptations, licensing issues are most likely why. And historically, Bandai Namco rarely localized any licensed titles at all outside of Naruto and Dragon Ball until the late 2010s. Therefore, them skipping Captain Tsubasa makes a lot of sense. The only way English speakers will get to experience these classic titles in our native language are via fan translations. In August 2024, Team BT4 published a full English patch for Captain Tsubasa. Not only did they fully translate the game into English, they added a native 16.9 resolution screen patch and NTSCU button swaps, making this patch the definitive way to experience Captain Tsubasa. If you're a fan of the Captain Tsubasa anime, the previous game on modern platforms, or if you're just looking for a football soccer based game in general and still waiting for Inazuma 11 to come back, consider checking this out. The final game I'm discussing today is a game that, at first glance, you may wonder, why is it even here? Wasn't Art Tonelico 2 localised officially by NIS America for the PlayStation 2 in 2009? Yes, it was. There's a pretty big reason why it's here, and we'll get to that. However, for those not in the know, let's quickly go over what is the Art Tonelico series. This is a now forgotten multimedia franchise developed by Gust and Banpresto in the late 2000s across the PS2 and the PS3. This series deals with heavy sci-fi and fantasy themes, told through a mixture of JRPG action gameplay and visual novel-esque cutscenes. Art Tonelico is also known for its fanservice and dating mechanics as well. This brief description does not do the franchise justice in any way. Art Tonelico deserves a whole video of its own, and maybe I'll get around to checking these games out for myself someday. Art Tonelico 2, the second game in the series, as mentioned before, came to the West in 2009 after its original October 2007 Japanese release. In this game, you play as Croy, a knight set out to contain the mysterious Infel Fire Dependency Epidemic, or IPD. There's much more to Art Tonelico 2's story, of course, as soon Croy ends up investigating the legends of the planet Arceal. Gameplay broadly remains like the first game outside of the battle system, which is completely revamped. Platforming sections from the first Art Tonelico title are gone entirely, alongside the character's ability to jump. So why is Art Tonelico 2 in this video? That's because NICE's official localization had a lot of issues, even more so than the first game. These issues include, but are not limited to, a multitude of game-breaking bugs, some new to the localization, many typing and formatting errors, incorrectly translated names, removal of half the Japanese voice acting for an English voiceover, rather than releasing the game on two separate DVDs like with Sakura Wars the following year. While Art Tonelico 2's official localization is acceptable for the casual RPG fan, it does a huge disservice to the source material. So why didn't NICE fix these issues? This is most likely because Art Tonelico 2 was a very late PlayStation 2 release. The PS2 was an aging platform that doesn't have the infrastructure required to download patches like we can on modern hardware. If NICE fixed Art Tonelico 2, they'd have to recall all shipped games, which is impractical for such a niche title. Hence, fans had no choice but to step in. And step in they did. Fans relocalized Art Tonelico 2 from scratch using the original Japanese, fully captioning the anime videos while restoring all the Japanese audio. New additions include a harder difficulty setting, improving font readability, restoring various cut content, events and tutorials from both the NIS America release as well as the original Japanese version. The same also applies to fixing bugs, and so many other changes that we can't go into here. The translation team were very open about the changes they made with regular progress updates on a blog. It's worth reading through the blog to see for yourself. It's really impressive how hard they worked to bring Art Tonelico 2 to life in a way NIS America did not. And it's up there with the most ambitious of visual novel fan translation projects, and medium known for similarly passionate fans. Art Tonelico 2's fan restoration patch has been the definitive way to experience Art Tonelico 2 ever since the original fan translation came out in 2019. In terms of Art Tonelico 2's legacy, there are two aspects we need to talk about. The first is Art Tonelico 2's poor localization helped cement NIS America's negative reputation among certain fans. This reputation dogged the company throughout the late 2000s and early 2010s. While NIS America is a much better company nowadays, quite critical given they keep the Trail series alive over here, this era remains a black mark on their otherwise clean record. As for the Art Tonelico series itself, the series lies dormant, given both Gust and Banpresto are owned by larger conglomerates who aren't interested in reviving this franchise. To get around negotiating with Bandai Namco, Gust made a spiritual successor duology, Arno Surge and Seal No Surge for the PS3 and Vita respectively. Both these games left a similar impact to the Art Tonelico series, however Koei Tecmo quite famously only localised Arno Surge and refused to localise Seal No Surge in any form, which was quite controversial. The same applies to the HD remasters for both games for modern platforms in 2021. Therefore, it's highly unlikely Art Tonelico, yet alone Arno Surge, will return anytime soon. If you wish to play this forgotten title from Gust's rich backlog, this retranslation patch is your best option. And that's going to do it today for PlayStation 2 fan translations. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Have you played any of these games? Please let me know. Please like, comment, subscribe, algorithm boosting stuff, consider becoming a channel member if you can afford to and want to do so. Everything else, cheers everyone, have a lovely day, bye bye.